record. So we will start this session a little differently than we did last time. You mentioned that you're in your meditation chair.
Yes.
So I invite you to get as comfortable as you possibly can, possibly in that same sense and feeling as if you were about to meditate. Perfect. I heard a nice deep breath. Let's just take a couple breaths together as we sink into this space. I know you work hard and I know you work a lot. Let's just allow that to drift away. And allow any of the expectations that we may be holding for ourselves, for others, just continue breathing, really settling into this conversation that you and I have entered into. And this space is very much opened to the highest good that wants to come in for the benefit of you, for the benefit of everything that you're seeking. And please, when you're ready, and you feel like it's best to begin speaking, go ahead and bring out what it is that the session is going to be dealing with tonight.
Okay. So, I guess I'm going to say this first part first, but this isn't the main issue, but I kind of just want to give you a background of what I've been feeling the last since September 16th, so about a month and a half. Because of the feelings of dismantling and disintegration, I've been feeling like up is down, down is up. Like I kind of started to lose track of my ability to like do normal functioning stuff. Like I missed a couple bills that I had to pay just because I've been trying to not even trying, just processing so much. Mm-hmm. And I got everything caught up and it's fine, but I've just been having a lot of understandings and revelations, and even now I still have maybe like, I don't know, once every few weeks where I have an understanding and I purge. I might not throw up, I might just dry heave, mm-hmm. But it's still very much present. I mean, I think about things that have happened and just kind of processing every day. So I've been feeling really out of sorts with that. But the real reason which I'm feeling a little bit better now, of course, the election doesn't help. But with what my real big thing that I'm really struggling with right now is my second ceremony. The first night, it was right after I lost my ego. I've learned how to work with ayahuasca a little bit better now. I've learned to surrender a little bit better. I've learned to trust her. And so the ego death wasn't as bad as it was the first time. But that second ceremony, the reason I started to do ayahuasca in the first place was because I'm at a crossroads in my life with my husband. I think I mentioned to you through text a little bit. He is a gaslighter, and basically he changes and tweaks and twists and alters his stories and even flat out lies sometimes, tells me it never happens. And he's had his own trauma. So his dad was gaslighting him most of his life. So we separated in February, and there was a point where he just flat out looked at me and lied to my face, and it was like I don't know, I was like disenchanted, like something just flipped, and I just haven't been able to feel connected with him since. And this is why I decided to do ayahuasca, because I was trying to determine, okay, well, is this something I need to find for myself? Is there an issue that I need to work through? And it turned out that it was. But so the second ceremony, I asked ayahuasca, should I divorce Tom? And clear as a bell and a slap in the face to me, it was like, yes. And as soon as that happened, I just had a really hard purge, because I honestly, I thought, I guess I had an expectation, but I thought it was going to be like, no, you need to work on a heart piece, or you need to, I don't even know. I just thought it was going to be something that I needed to shift for me. And so I'm still kind of blindsided by that. But the thing is, I've kind of known it to be true since February. And I guess I wanted confirmation or disconfirmation. And I mourned a little bit the second night, but I knew it was just because I had already gone through so much by the second night. It was towards the end of the night that it came up, and it was just too much. And so I'm like, I just can't do this now. I wasn't ready to mourn, because I felt like once I would mourn, it would be like the end of it, and I wasn't ready for it. So now fast forward, then about 2 weeks later, another background story. Well, I'll say this first. So 2 weeks later, my parents came to visit, and I was hoping I'd be like grounded and like okay enough to handle them, and I did. But my dad has always been a narcissist, so my feelings were always invalidated. He always had a thing against women. I always knew less than him. I was never good enough for him. He never knew how to love me, have empathy, like the whole narcissistic traits together. So, and one of the things that I really saw in like clearly, and it never was as clearly after ayahuasca 2 weeks earlier, was how consistently he would try to just gaslight. And what I mean by that, there's so many examples, but it's like I would say, hey, what do you think the temperature is now? I bet it's about 48 degrees. And he would look and be like, oh, it's 50. And he'd be like, oh, you're 5 degrees off. It's definitely not that cold. Like, so it's like weird, totally stupid little stuff, but with the purpose of invalidation and manipulation. And I realized during that time that, there were like 7 examples just in one sitting, because I watched as an observer, not as like with boundaries rather than without, because ayahuasca helped me with that. And then he during that time realized that he wasn't affecting me in the same way, so he actually started name calling. And I don't know if that's ever happened before in my childhood, but I know it's been insinuated. So at some point, ayahuasca came like running back into my head, and I realized that I was putting up with bullshit behaviors of men, especially, so that my dad would love me. And so he was like, oh yeah, at least I'm not stupid like 35-year-olds, because they're fucking stupid, just specifically trying to call me stupid. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I didn't respond. And so anyway, so I've learned that I put up with bullshit behaviors to win the love of my dad. And this carried on. So a major partner in my life had sexually abused me, and it was the same concept. I realized I put up with bullshit behavior to win the love of this man, which was really my dad. And now I realize with Tom, he does the lying and the gaslighting and the invalidating, and he's the same. It's the same thing. I put up with bullshit behavior to win love. And so I've found that all of these like major men in my life, the thing they have in common, and the one that sexually abused me too, he was bipolar, so he was just naturally a pathological liar, which I didn't know at the time. But so all of the three major men in my life have been like just pathological, maybe not even pathological, but just liars and gaslighters, and they would always try to invalidate me. And in turn, because I was seeking love from my dad, unbeknownst to me, I put up with it, hoping that maybe if I did, they would love me. And I put up with sexual abuse for that. And I realized I'm the creator of that. I'm not the victim. I created my situation. So here I am in my marriage, present day. I know I'm kind of going back and forth in time and going roundabout stories. I'm sorry. So here I am,
totally tracking and totally with you. So
okay, thank you. So here I am now, and Tom and I have been separated since February, and I just brought something up to him that I thought that just bothered me. And since ayahuasca, my approach has been much more mild, much more clear. I'm less slower. I'm much slower to anger. I'm much calmer. But I brought something up, that bothered me to his attention. And all I noticed was that all that was happening with him is he was saying, you always need to be right, just like your father. You're trying to micromanage me. Well, yeah, when this happened 8 years ago, this. And oh, yeah, well, you're saying this, but you do that. And so it was just a bombardment of, lies, saying that never happened. I never did that. Projection, gaslighting, old patterns. And I was like, look, I'm not the same person I was, but we're basing things right now on old patterns and past resentments. And this is not the way I need to live. This is not the way I want to live. So, we kind of went on about that for a little bit. And then there was some particular gaslighting thing that he changed his story to turn it into something it never was. And I didn't mean to tell him during that time, but I said, I want a divorce. I want a divorce. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. So here's the thing. I know I don't have the money to divorce right now, but I did ask ayahuasca, that second ceremony that I did in September, how can I go about making this happen? And I wanted to start growing medicinal and culinary mushrooms. And she started showing to me, okay, you have to do a little bit each day, whether it's researching or preparing the space or whatever. And so I've been kind of lacking in that. I haven't been, because I've been just my world's just been flipped upside down. Mm-hmm. So at this point now, because I need to buy time, and it's ridiculous that I'm saying that it's just because I need to buy time, but I talked to Tom and I'm like, okay, how about this? How about, we take some time and once a week, each of us, we can take turns and we can pick one topic that we need to talk about to be able to let go of for good these resentments that we have, because they're, if something had happened 11 years ago, you're still holding on to. How about you say everything you need to say about it, and I'll say nothing, or we'll have a talking stick or whatever. And then, at least we can have closure, to process and to just get it out, be authentic. And then if we can't let things go, and we can't start on a clean slate, then this isn't going to work ever. It will never work. And if and in doing that, it was like buying some time. So then in like 6 months to a year, you know, I could have a business underway. I could have money saved up. My debts would be paid off. And that's where I'm at right now. So I'm struggling because I realize that every man in my life is based on a pattern of my father. And, I see a little bit of good in each of them, but in the undertones, the undercurrent is my father. And so part of this is I want to be able to find a partner that's not like this. And then second, I guess I'm just hoping for guidance or maybe even for, I guess, maybe any potential other interpretations of the ayahuasca experience or anything. I guess I kind of just feel like so overwhelmed.
Hmm. Well, Jackie, with everything that you've said, you've given me a really clear picture of what's going on with you. And from our previous call that we've had, I know a little deeper about some of the things that you were saying. And also, I was on the journeys with you. So, and I understand the dismantling nature that we can go through when we're giving these experiences. And if I may offer just like, I just feel like it may help. When we drink yahe, yahe is like a fast forward showing us road signs and signals. And sometimes in the beginning of introducing ourselves to the state of consciousness that yahe opens us up to, the reason it feels so dismantling is just because we were off course.
Mm.
It's really the basis of what it is. It's just being off course. And it's like if you're driving and you pass a road and it's way off course, you have to crank your neck like 160 degrees to see where you have to go.
Yeah.
And maybe then when you're pretty much on course and you're looking onto the horizon after some time, you're only going to need to look 20 or 30 degrees to the left or the right, and it's not nearly as much on you because you've been course correcting for a while.
Mm. It's like, it's funny because like I hope, like, not even that I hope. It's almost like, like I've been questioning, like, well, was that me with that voice? Why did I purge after that? Is it like just my mind trying to say, oh yeah, I should, you know what I mean? Like, because when it's like, it's that, like, I mean, it was like a slap in the face, and so that's why I've been like questioning it too. And that's what you saw in my post. It's like, because I trust her. I mean, she's helped me so much. It's oh god, it's just a scary, like, a scary thought.
What exactly is a scary thought?
Yeah. It's all that time and investment, my chowdering years. You know what I mean? Like, the house of my dreams. It's yeah. It's just a lot. So let me ask you this. When you're saying she just like gives you the signs and it's like a course correct. I mean, are you basically saying that, like, with the dismantling that happened afterwards, it's just because everything that I thought was my path, my reality just wasn't, and now I'm seeing things totally different because that's what it feels like. Is that like what you're saying?
Well, I have something to ask you instead of telling you something that may allow you to understand. Who would you rather be? Who you were before or who you are right now?
Who I am now, definitely. Ugh.
Oh, I felt that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I did too. I guess that's another thing. Like, it's hard, I mean, I trust the medicine, but it's hard to when it's something you're like kind of like fighting tooth and nail, that gets tough.
Hmm.
So then how do I so another thing I guess I'm struggling with is I feel like all I've ever attracted, at least on a deeper level, that have been deeper relationships, are men that, like, years and years later, in every case, even with my dad, like years go by, and then I find out that they're just liars, just about everything. How do I break that? Is it just by seeing it?
In terms of much of the awareness that you've told me about this exact subject that you just asked me about,
Mm-hmm.
what do you know now that you have gained that may be able to fill this question for you?
Well, I've gained a lot of understandings from Yahe. Um, I've I've definitely gained more authenticity. I've become much more honest with others, definitely. With myself, I mean, I'm working on it. Sometimes truth is hard. Um, I've gained an understanding about how, from birth, I was programmed a certain way. And through the numerous ceremonies, I've purged a lot of that, which I feel like that's probably why the rage of that, like when things like that happen, is not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just this, I just can't do it anymore. And I guess part of me is like, well, maybe if it's just one more chance, maybe if we just try this, maybe if we just try that. And I don't, and the thing is, like, I know it's not going to work. I know it's not, and I guess it's me being inauthentic to myself, just by doing it in a large chunk to buy time. I don't know. I guess, like, too, it's like I feel like, I really trust her on that because I knew, like, I purged when she told me. Like, it was a hard purge. It was intense. And then I purged again when I realized how much grief I was going to have to face. And I guess, like, I know integration can take time, I mean, part of me just wants to like jump off. I mean, I told him I wanted a divorce. I didn't mean to do it. It just happened. You know, but also with the ceremony, I think the reason I was able to like see what happened with all of the lying and the gaslighting is because I got in touch with my inner child the first time. And I was able to like talk to her and say like, yeah, your dad was never able to love you, but that doesn't mean you're not this amazing, wonderful child and, you know, a great human being. You're lovable and you're worthy of love. And, you know, and that like opened my heart. And I think that probably is what kicked off a lot of this. And then I also, you know, had this in my second ceremony, I had purges where I just purged that my needs matter. My needs matter. Like, damn right they matter. And my worth. And, but it's interesting because I've just been like lately with all of this, just like pursing my lips and my head's been like lowered. And I just feel so fucking depressed. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's part of the dismantling. I don't know if it's just like, I just don't have the strength to like remember that, like, of myself. Like, I don't know. Or is it just that I'm this miserable because I know that I need to do it, I'm not doing it? I don't fucking know. That's like part of the problem.
With everything that you've told me up until now, with everything that you've learned, I invite you to go inside and to access the part of you that you want to live from, that is emerging in your life. And where is that part of you taking you?
Away from a marriage. Because none of my needs are being met. But am I even supposed to be relying on anybody else to tend to my needs? You know, isn't that something I should be doing on my own? Because genuinely, that's all, you know, that's all within.
What else?
I do want to be able to have a partner that is honest and just authentic. And I mean, and loving and all those good things. But I do want to find somebody that's not lying to me all the time. Like someone I can find safety and trust with. Because I never had that growing up. And I know that comes down to safety and trust in myself. But I'm working on feeling safe and trusting myself. I guess there's a fear that I'll never find anybody that'll be honest with me. It's so fucked up. Wow. Hmm. Doesn't seem like it should be such a crazy thing, but I feel like it is.
What's that? You said it's a crazy thing. What's this crazy thing?
Just that I would like to have a partner that just doesn't lie to me, or like a man in my life that doesn't lie to me. And I mean, I'm not, saying like, you or Pedro. Like, I'm just saying like the major like men in my life. It seems such a crazy thing because it should be so obvious and so like natural, to find someone else that's authentic and just honest. But like, I that's why it's crazy. It should be so easy. It shouldn't even be a thing. Like, is it just a matter of being authentic myself and then I'll find someone that's authentic also? But then here's the other thing. So I just like keep on going. Here's the other thing. Now I feel like I'm being authentic. Like I don't feel like I'm lying to myself and lying to others so much that it justifies having someone in my life that is such a chronic liar or gaslighter or manipulator. Like, what is that? Like, what have I not learned about myself that I bring that into my life? And I don't know because I feel like I am trying to be true to myself and I am trying to be authentic and I am trying to love myself. And maybe I'm just expecting things to happen too fast. I don't know either. Like, when things start to integrate, like, like when the understandings start to come and the behavioral changes start to come, like, I don't expect other people to change around me, but I guess like because I haven't done, Yahai long enough to know, like, you know what I mean? Like, am I still not getting something, or is it that it just takes time for like my energy field and what's around my projection, my creation of life to change? I mean, I know it starts from the inside, but like, what are your thoughts about that? I mean, I know you've done it a lot longer than I have, and a lot more. Once you make that shift, how, I don't know, I guess like, I don't even know what my question is. Like, at what point do you start noticing your surroundings shifting based on your creative shift?
What are you doing to create the shift?
I'm just trying to be more authentic. I'm trying to be more honest with myself and with everyone around me. I'm trying to be more clear and concise when I communicate, and I'm trying to have more compassion for just everybody, which granted, during the election, it's been really hard. So the crazy stuff, but that's kind of something different. So I've just been really trying to be true to myself and be true to others, and live authentically and be vulnerable and, just try to support others where they're struggling. And I mean, not to say a lot of stuff I wasn't doing before, but the authenticity is a big one that's actually really shifted since I've been taking the medicine. So I mean, is it either that it like shifts into finding more authentic relationships, or the ones that cannot be authentic fall away? You know, is there a timeline? Does it you know, like does the creation of that happen faster the quicker you shift? I don't know, like, you know, like, because I haven't done it enough to really know how these things work. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Where are these questions coming from?
I guess I'm just at this point of like, I'm just so fed up. You know, like I'm so over what I have created, which is just a false belief system, you know, that it's okay to be lied to regularly and that erodes trust. Like and that was another thing I learned from you know, mother. She showed me how I because of my dad, I lived my entire life with this false belief, you know, and so I thought it was okay, or I guess not even I thought it was okay, it was just a false belief. And I purged for quite some time with that one too.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed everything. And well, I thought it would change everything, and it has for me, but like, you know, but I'm still in the same situation, and it's probably why I'm so depressed, you know, but I'm not making the choice to leave at the moment either. So I don't know. It's really just about my own actions, huh?
What did it feel like to say that?
It resonated. Kind of felt like tightness in my chest, though.
Mm.
Because it's just a really hard choice.
Mm.
Mm. There's this fear too of just being like, either like after I get divorced, not even that I want a relationship right away, but part of it is like I haven't been in one for so long, you know. Part of it's that like that fear that I'll never find anyone like that I can like really, you know, that I can love and that'll love me the way I want. Which is, you know, ayahuasca has given me a much different perspective of what that is. But I guess a part of me too is like scared that I'll, you know, find someone, and then, you know, years and years will be great. And then like all of a sudden I find out the whole basis of the entire relationship is based on lies. So it's like this like fear. It's almost like a PTSD response. It's like that fear that the same thing is going to keep happening. And I know that's not the way to go because that's just me creating. Well, like, I guess I don't know. I guess too, like that leap of faith that it would take, like to get a divorce, and then like I don't want to like I fear that like I'll be like, oh, I made a huge mistake, you know, or like that I'll never find somebody that you know will be a good partner for me, or it's like there's like definitely fear there, you know, because like I haven't really been in I mean I've been married for a long time, but I feel like I haven't even been in a relationship for so fucking long. I don't know. Hmm. I think trusting is the hardest part because I've never learned how to trust because, you know, I never trusted my dad. So to trust anything, to trust myself, to trust another person, to trust ayahuasca, that's what it is. That's actually what it is. I've never learned how to trust. Yeah. I could trust my mom, which is why my female relationships are like the most genuine, wonderful, loving, supportive relationships ever. So what do I do? You know, to trust, to find that trust. For I mean, would I have to go into my internal masculine? You know, or my like my um sacred masculine?
What decision or choice in your life would bring you into a state of trust?
That's a good question. Well, let me think about that for a minute.
Please take all the time you need.
I think there's two parts of it. One is the primary, and then the other one's kind of secondary. But before I say that, I realize that it's not like when I mentioned about like not having trust. I actually do trust medicine, um, which is why, of course, I'm having so many problems with like the what she told me because I trust her, and I learned to trust her when I had my second ego death. I That's my mantra that I said, and it actually made it go a lot easier. So I do trust her, but I think first and foremost, to help find that trust would be to trust myself. And I used to be able to. It was weird because with that, like my dad tried to break me, but he couldn't. He just wasn't strong enough. But he definitely laid the foundation for a lot of the stuff that I have now. But when I found that second man in my life with the sexual abuse, that's when I lost trust. I don't know what it was. Like he was a quote unquote spiritual teacher or whatever. He was a false idol. but but I lost it then. So I'm still trying to regain my trust in myself. Because before that I was very trusting, and it never steered me wrong ever. Like it just never did. And so I've been working on getting that because I had a lot of PTSD from all of that abuse. It was really bad. And I guess, I mean, the medicine, it helped me with a lot of that too. So trusting myself. But I almost forget like what that feels like and what that looks like, and like, you know what I mean? Because I have different voices where I talk to myself, like some of it's heady. I kind of forget what my gut feeling feels like. So that's the first part. But then to actually have a partner that is honest with me would be the secondary thing. But I feel like I could probably only access that when I learn to trust myself. So I guess part of it too is it's been so long that I don't even know what that feels like anymore. Like, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, it's probably because I question my choices.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it's maybe like listening to my gut, but I just feel like I kind of lost touch with knowing what that feels like, and then my like little like internal voice, I sometimes mistake that for my thinking voice. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have like those two kinds of like things. Like, I guess one is more subconscious, which I guess would be my inner voice.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I can't, I don't know, like, I guess I'm just so not used to it. Do you have any exercises or any thought, like any like techniques that you use for like getting in touch with that like inner voice, not the thinking voice, but like that inner truth? Because I mean, I've learned a lot, and I should know how to do this, but I feel like I've gotten so disconnected from it that I don't know. I feel like I can't even do it anymore. Do you have anything that you do? Like, do you meditate? Do you like, does yoga help? Like, what do you do?
Are you ready
Mhm.
to trust yourself again?
Yes. That's all it is, huh? Hmm. Wow, that's weird. So that's that question, right? Of course, I'm like, yeah, of course I am. But then I start to like question myself. Well, am I really ready? Well, what does that look like? Well, how do I know? You know what I mean? Like, that's like, I think, case in point of like where I feel stuck. Hmm. What if I'm wrong though? Like, what if I think I trust myself and I make some decision and it's a fucking terrible decision because that really wasn't me trusting myself. That was like my ego talking or my head talking or my fear talking.
What's it telling you, the fact that you're asking me that question?
That I don't trust myself. Yeah, okay. Wow. Huh. So, but then I feel stuck, like, just by saying that, like, I think I proved to both of us that I don't trust myself. But then, like, how do I get to that point again?
How do you get to that point again? What's something merging into your life that will bring trust?
My integration of loving myself. Because if I fully love myself, I'm not going to steer myself wrong. It'll be like a loving parent, really. So maybe like a daily practice of just going back to that place during that first ceremony, well, the second night of the first ceremony, where I could just kind of go back to my inner child, where I told her, she's lovable and she's worthy of love, and it took her so long to not to understand, but so long to accept that. But when we finally hugged, it was like I've never felt my heart more open in my life. And so maybe just tapping back into that and then feeling that love for myself, but also those unmet needs of my inner child that could never have been met by a parent, but could be met by myself. And then maybe with that love will come trust, whereas she couldn't trust before. But love for the self supersedes love of parents, or love of parent towards the child. So that would almost make that null and void. And then with that trust that my inner child has towards my adult me, I mean, the love that I have for me would mean then that complete trust would be there. Huh.
Would you like to go to that place now?
Yeah.
You're extremely safe. There is no judgment. I invite you to go to that place. Take as long as you would like. And you can come back with some words when you are ready.
I didn't quite realize how interconnected safety and trust were for me. That it was just really interesting because I went back, to my inner child, and they were just inextricably linked. And wow. So like trust equals safety and safety equals trust. And so she never felt safe, so she learned not to trust herself. Because I guess she was just going by like survival, like what to do to not like, get your dad in a rage.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I think too, like in childhood, it was I was really like shy and like whatever when I was a kid, but then like I went to drugs pretty hard. And so I guess that was a way to like feel okay. And a lot of alcohol too. But it was almost like a false sense of security. And so then like losing my inhibitions, I guess, to like trust myself, even if like inhibitions were down, which wasn't the safest way to go. But again, they're inextricably linked. Yeah, so my little girl was just sad. She was just sad. And it was almost like she was like coward a little bit because she didn't feel safe. So I kind of just let her know, she can trust herself, and like her feelings were valid when she was, growing up, and her dad was in his rage and whatever. Those feelings were valid. Like it was valid that you didn't feel safe, and it was valid that like as survival, you stopped trusting yourself because you were going to be told that if you did trust yourself, it was invalid anyway. Yes, I think that's definitely something I need to do way more regularly. It's just like tap into that and like allow her to just trust yourself, even if it hurts, you know? But that's interesting with all those three men. Like once I didn't trust them anymore, either I didn't trust them and then in turn I didn't feel safe with them, or I didn't feel safe with them and in turn I didn't trust them. But that's probably why for me, like, me not feeling, I guess, in some way safe by getting a divorce, it's like, and that's what makes it hard to trust myself. You know what I mean? Because they're so linked. It definitely needs to be a practice. I do more often. And the whole like my needs matter piece too of the second ceremony, and my worth of the second ceremony too. Those are probably going to be a part of that. Is that a good way to integrate? Just kind of keep on going through those experiences and like feeling the, you know what I mean? Like going back into those memories, like will that kind of unlock um more of the story, like more of the understanding?
Are you referring to the particular thing of the past or the space that you connected with?
The experiences during ceremony. So like, the one that I just connected with my inner child would be one example. And then like, I've had other examples where, she like opened up the doors of my solar plexus, and then I kind of like started, I saw and felt my worth. And then another one would be like where I purged so much because I was like basically screaming without screaming into the bucket that my needs matter. And I feel like all three of those are so linked together.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess like, so what I did just now with connecting with my inner child with the self-love piece, do you think if I like kind of make that into a practice with those other two, like the self-worth and the my needs matter piece for me, is that like, if I continue to do that, do you think that's going to help my integration with those? Like, because I know there's so many layers of it, like, is that something that you would recommend? Because again, I know you've done this more than I have, but what do you think about that? Because I feel like that would work. But I don't know. Like, I don't know if that'll help the integration or just, if it'll just be me thinking about something over and over. You know what I mean?
Well, let's take a look at what just happened when you reconnected with the space.
Yeah, that's true. I have to make that a daily practice.
Our daily practice is our strongest medicine. That's a quote by a good friend of mine.
Okay. All right. I would definitely do that then. I have one more question. If that's okay. I don't know where.
Please.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Okay. It's just a quick question, and then we'll pass time. Would you like say that everything that ayahuasca teaches you is truth to some degree, or can some of it be just a hallucination that you create yourself? Because I know there's different layers of seeing something. Like if you take mushrooms, it's you might have an experience, but it's actually like really something else totally. But you know what I mean? It's just not interpreted yet.
So I'm going to rephrase the question just so I can thoroughly understand what you're asking. And I'm
very clear.
I'm going to just simplify it.
Okay.
Just I want to be very clear with what you're asking. Pretty much the bottom line of that question is what's shown to me in ayahuasca, is it true all the time or not?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I was
asking. Ayahuasca opens us up to only show us ourselves. I have learned that if I find untruth, it's my untruth within me.
Do you mean that if you find untruth, that it's untruth within you during ceremony or afterwards, after you start to see the world in a whole different light?
What's the difference?
That's interesting.
I'm gonna say one thing before we depart in regards to this, but I would like us to just ground from the session, just for right now, and then there will be something that I'll leave you with.
Okay.
Let us just enter back into the space together, remembering what was brought up and remembering what you found. And because I know you are such a female of the earth, let us just Mother Earth and invite her in to come up with her roots and just wrap her roots around us, around you, around your chair, around your space, and just ground. And I thoroughly invite you to stay in the space that you're in now and just let this be for as long as you feel it is necessary. And like I said, I will say something before we go, but I just wanted to say thank you very much for the session tonight and your trust and your openness and the work that you're doing.
Thank you for your hope. It's been hard, so I really appreciate you being willing to be there. So thank you to help me out with just moving through it.
You are most welcome.